Today I'd like to talk about the body, and as many of you have heard the phrase, the body is a temple, or it should be, but it isn't really, because we've lost the ability of looking after our bodies to a great extent. Our bodies are a reflection of the world we're in, and vice versa. The world we live in is a reflection of ourselves, of which the body is a part. So what do we know about the world? We know that we're polluting the air with all manner of chemicals, with geoengineering. Many of us now know that the seas are polluted, not just with plastic bags and all manner of chemicals, but literally we're filling it with all sorts of poisons.
Number one reason why most people don't feel well, end up with a diagnosis, is because the amount of toxins that we're accumulating from the womb to the tomb in our tissues.
It's amazing testimony to our resilience that we are all still here. Because if you look at the sheer volume of toxicants we're exposed to throughout the day, even in our air, we are being absolutely poisoned.
The plastics, the lead, aluminum, the mercury, they're finding a teaspoon of plastic in human brains.
It has to be an environmental exposure problem.
We are polluting the world at a physical level. We've also polluted the world with our bureaucracies. And we pollute our world with our negativity. And all of that comes back to haunt us. As in, right now, there is a number of wars, quite disastrous, but we've had wars for a long time. We seem to be in a never state of wars. There's always conflict and friction. We haven't got a clue how to live together as human beings. And there may be a number of reasons for that, because I don't want to go to war, you don't want to go to war, children don't want to go to war. So who is it that wants to go to war? Someone is and has been pushing for war for quite a while. Why are they doing this? You know, what's the point of that? I'm not going to go into answers, but I'll just leave you the questions. So then we come to the foods that we eat. And in this day and age, most of the foods that we eat, they all come from factories. They've been manufactured. They add all manner of chemicals to them just to preserve them, colorings to make them look better. I mean, there's a whole world out there of what they do to so-called foods. And that's not even talking about the foods, so-called foods, that come out of the ground, where we put all these chemicals just to expedite the growing and the killing of the weeds, etc. So our world is poisoned and has been increasingly poisoned for the last, 150 years. Where do you imagine this could end? Do you really think that we can continue to increasingly poison the world more and more and more with impunity? It's not going to happen. And the world is a reflection of what we are doing to ourselves. Metabolic syndrome is a word that says that as a result of the way we metabolize foods, we poison and damage ourselves at a cellular level. And metabolic syndrome has been responsible for the majority of cancers and for the majority of illnesses that humans experience. Most of the symptoms that most people have when they go to the doctor, they're due to metabolic syndromes because they've been damaging themselves by eating the wrong foods. And the way that that has been dealt with is by giving them drugs to ease the symptoms. It's a vicious cycle. You can't escape it. Once you go down that road, you cannot escape it. So I will be doing a special episode purely to do with food. But I'm not at that place now. I simply want to say very clearly that our bodies are our temples, and we are desecrating our temples. We don't know why we do that. Well, we do really. It's because we're lost. As human beings, we're lost. But that's another level. We're now talking at the level of the mind. For now, I'm talking at the level of the body. So as far as the human body is concerned, for now, it is, I've said this before, it is so important to stop the drugs, stop all drugs, stop all medicines, stop all, okay, I need to qualify that obviously. People are going to get, oh, stop medicine? No, heresy. Well, if the reason why you're taking medicine is because you've got symptoms, you got disease, which is the result of the foods and the drinks that you ingest, then you can either try to deal with the symptoms or let's look at the causes. And the causes invariably are smoking, drinking, the actual foods that people eat, like seed oils. But I'll come back to that another time. For now, I just need you to be aware that your body is supposed to be your temple and you're poisoning your temple. And one of the greatest con games of the modern world is the seduction of human beings that you can be fixed with a tablet. This has been going on. If you've got emotional disturbances, they will give you a tablet. If you get physical pain, they will give you a tablet. Well, we know what happened in America with giving people tablets for pain. They had an opioid epidemic. They still have. So that's not an answer. Making the point that the pharmaceutical approach to health does not work.
Rockefeller used his influence and money to lay the groundwork for a complete takeover of the healthcare industry as well. Using his political contacts, who were essentially on his payroll for their elections, he had natural healing methods banned, doctors thrown into prisons, and hospitals and clinics threatened with being shut down if they did not follow his game plan. And here's how he did it. In 1901, he established the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research, now known as Rockefeller University, dedicated to advancing biomedical research, and was instrumental in pioneering various medical treatments, including vaccines, antibiotics, and synthetic drugs, which would become the cornerstones of the burgeoning pharmaceutical industry. Rockefeller spent $100 million of his own money, equal to $2.6 billion today, to hire, train, and then deploy his doctors, clinical researchers, and chemists who would perform and follow his guidelines, banning traditional treatments in favor of the new platform. In 1902, he spent another $1 million to fund the creation of the General Education Board, which was passed by Congress based upon selective and misleading data. Effectively, he lied, which then proceeded to prevent medical colleges and universities from receiving federal grants if they did not abandon the teaching of natural healing.
It's not the way to help ourselves. And if you have gone down that route, then you need to find someone who can help you to deal with your diet, to deal with food, so that you can find your way back to health from that perspective. It's not the only perspective. It's an important perspective. It's not the only one. And there are caveats there. But you need to find help, because if a person has got type 2 diabetes, taking insulin tablets is not the answer. How can that be the answer? You're just trying to manage the symptoms. The symptoms is stop eating sugar. But I'll leave that for another time. Anyway, because I want to get somewhere more important. The human body is constantly trying to maintain an internal balance. And it uses the hormones that are generated within the glands and within quite a few of the internal organs to maintain a balance, so that we have plenty of energy, plenty of capacity to do whatever it is we need to do. And that it has the ability to repair itself whenever anything goes wrong. We're made that way. This is why this whole thing of, in our Western society, of the pharmaceutical Western model, it's, well, what can I say? It's so far from reality of how to help someone to heal. So whilst I'm in the vein, I'll just say it. You know, in America, children are given over 30, 40 vaccinations by the time they're 2 years old. The human body is designed to protect itself. That's why we have a skin. We have a skin on the outside, we have skin on the inside, within our mouths, within our lungs, within the vagina, within the reproductive system. We've got epithelial cells. You know, they're there to maintain an external barrier and only let through what needs to get through. We are designed to protect ourselves so that we can maintain a balance with the environment. This is why we have oily skin. If you're doing soap all the time to kill the germs, you're getting rid of the germs which exist on your skin, and you're getting rid of the oils that help to maintain the external barrier. I mean, there's so much about our modern society that we're so unclued about. No fault of anyone's, is the way that we're conditioned. Constantly, it's all the time, newspapers, films, it's there, day in, day out, constant. So it's not surprised that people are so conditioned they can't think for themselves. Anyway, be that as it may. If you cut into the skin with something sharp, pointy and hollow, and you inject some sort of liquid into that, and you do that on a regular basis with children as they're growing up, those liquids have got a number of things in them. Some of it is particles of the DNA that comes from all manner of things. Some of it is to do with preservatives, and adjuvant, I can't pronounce it properly. It's something that helps to magnify the effect of the little you've put in. Right. So to be healthy, I'll just leave that with you. I'll come back to this another time, but just think about it. Think about that. So homeostasis, the body tries to maintain homeostasis. And that is at a chemical level, at a hormonal level, and even at a structural level. Our body is designed to maintain a structural balance with all the joints. Every piece of bone is jointed with another piece of bone all the way through the body. The most important one of which is the spine. When the mind goes into conflict with the emotions, as I've shared before, and it does with most of us when we're young, we start to create muscle tension. And some of this will go into the involuntary muscles, i.e. out of awareness muscles, of which there's a lot of them around the spine. And so what will then happen is that you'll start to get muscle tension pulling bones in one direction or another, the vertebrae, the alignment. By the time you get up here, it affects the ribs as well. And because the body likes to maintain balance, if you think of each vertebrae like a brick, one on top of the next, to maintain balance when we're healthy, they're each stacked up quite evenly, quite nicely. But as we begin to emotionally suppress and we now develop involuntary muscle spasms within our body, which will be affecting our spine as much as anywhere else, it will begin to shift the spine this way, maybe that way. They pull them out of balance. The body likes to maintain homeostasis. So if this one goes slightly skewy, the one above it is now going to go a little bit skewy just to maintain the balance. So it's not uncommon for people to have a whole lot of vertebrae and they're all slightly out of balance. But overall, they're maintaining homeostasis. They're still balanced, except they're not, because the body structurally has become skewy. That's a technical term. I once went to an osteopath and we were having a chat, and he said to me how in his experience the vertebrae around the heart, the spinal vertebrae as well as the ribs, because if a vertebrae goes out, it pulls the rib out. They were solidly blocked for most people. As in, there's no point me going there trying to massage and release because there is so much else that's out of balance. I cannot get to it. Think about that. What I speak about in most of my sessions, whether it's chatting here with you or with my clients, it's always about connecting with the heart. When I speak about the cataclysm, the aliens, what's going to happen, it's all about the heart. Because we're so out of it that we stand very little chance as we are to release the tensions that will open up our hearts. You know, I'll share this with you. I was totally cut off when I was young. I won't go into my story. And my journey through life was literally, I didn't realize this is what it was, but it was literally about opening my heart. And I worked at this for 30, 40 years easily. And I had a whole load of experiences, each of which, painful as they were, they opened my heart just a little bit. Now that my heart is fully open, and has been for quite a few years now, hence my ability to communicate with Charlie and the true humans. I wouldn't be able to do this with a closed heart. So because of that, I'm able to do this. And yet, there are times in my meditations, in my walks, when I feel the love, I feel the love that pours into me from both of them, both from Charlie and the true humans. And my structures, my physical structures, which have spent so many years to stop that from happening, they will still come into me. So my heart will open fully, and instead of experiencing the joy, I start to cry because it's painful, and I find myself it's like an energy rising, and I am involuntarily trying to stop that as it goes towards my throat to express itself. And I have to take a step back and remind myself, why am I crying? Why am I holding? This is a joyous experience. And this is because my body has, just like a martial artist learns to move their body in a certain way, right? Without having to think about it. So the same, my body has like water flowing down the hill, right? It always flows in the same direction. My body has learned to respond in a certain way to love, to when my heart opens. And so there are those times when the intensity of the love is so much that I can't hang on to it, I can't hold it, and my body then tries to protect me by generating that sort of closed sensation in my upper chest and into my throat. So that's what we as human beings have got to contend with. It's not the easiest thing for us to deal with. And that's where we are. We have, from the year dot, picked up ways of being in the world. In therapy, they call it the armor, right? The armoring. So we armor ourselves to protect ourselves from the world. There's nothing to protect, to be honest, but we do. That's what we do. And this is a muscular thing. And it happens quicker than we can think, because the body thinks faster than the mind. And yet, that is our challenge. The recognition that we are, when we're filled with physical symptoms, and those symptoms are to do with the way, apart from the food issue, right? Those symptoms are to do with the way that our muscles are misaligned. They've gone into spasm, one has released, one has tightened up. And so our whole body has gone into that place. So now, finally, I've reached the point of the beginning, which I wanted to share with you, is that we are full of muscular spasms, which are getting in the way of moving off our heads and being open in our hearts and in our emotions. Flexibility, which I've mentioned so many times, flexibility. And so I did this meditation, which I put out on YouTube some time back, which I would like you, if you haven't gone there yet, to find it. I'll see if I can put it at the end, to find it and really work with this. Because the step number one of working with our bodies is learning to release the tensions which accumulate in our bodies. You know, the weather, it always rains, right? But sometimes it's always sunny. So which one is it? It's a bit of both. So sometimes it's rain, sometimes it's sunny. So we've got all these big rain bats outside in the garden, so we can collect the water. Well, those rain bats, that's our emotional energy which hasn't been expressed. The water, the emotion, the rain goes into these big barrels, and the barrel fills up. And we need to learn how to water the garden. We need to go in there and get the water out. We want to empty that barrel before the next downpour happens. Because when that bucket fills up, we have physical pains as a result of physical tensions, muscles, spasm, not being relaxed. Okay, anyway, so what I want to share is when your muscles go into spasm, and that goes on for any length of time, in the same way that if you get something that smells and you put it in front of your nose, after about 10 seconds, you stop smelling it. Why? Because your mind says, I'm busy. I've got too many other things to do. And this signal coming into the brain, I can't keep on processing the same thing. So it switches off the signals through the nerves to the brain from the nose. You don't smell it anymore. It's still going into your head, but now you don't smell it anymore. The same with the muscles that go into spasm. The muscles go into spasm, and to begin with, they spasm, and if you're lucky, they'll just release within a couple of days. You do some exercise, and you let go of that. But if it keeps going, the muscle itself may relax, but then the fascia that surrounds it has become corrugated, and it now maintains the imbalance of the structure. Because like I said before, the fascia is everywhere in the body, and it connects directly with the mind as well. So we need to release, we cannot release the fascia, by the by, apart from exercise. But the muscle, we can release. My apologies, I haven't done a good job of explaining. When overwhelmed with an emotion that continues unabated, the body's brain will trigger hormonal action for a range of muscles to go into contraction. This in turn will send a signal to the brain to alert and activate the opposing muscles to contract, hence achieving homeostasis once more. If the emotion continues unabated, the brain will stop sending the signal to the opposing muscles to release the muscular spasm, and you will likely complain of a bad back or a cyst shoulder, to name but a few. Is that if we do the meditation whereby, let's say this is the muscle there, so now I sit down, relax, I focus on the muscle because it's in pain. So as soon as I relax, I connect with my body, I'll be aware of that pain. So now I bring my awareness into the pain. What's at the center of that pain? So now I hone in to the center of that pain. And as I hone into that center, my brain becomes reconnected to the pain and to the fact that that muscle is in spasm. The brain will then once more send a signal to the opposing muscle, because if you have one muscle in spasm, you've got to have an opposing muscle which is overstretched. The brain has stopped telling that muscle to tighten up. So now my brain sends a signal to the opposing muscle to stretch, and that will release the spasm. That is how it works. This is why it is so important to be in your body, connect with your body, learn about the structure of your body so that you can visualize it, you can see it in your mind's eye, and then do this so that you become familiar, because guess what? Everybody's in pain. Everybody's got muscle spasms. And you want to release as much, you want to clear the decks as much as possible. The more you clear, the more centered you will be, and the less your head will get in the way. We focus on this active meditation into the body, become aware of where are all the tensions, And as you do that, as you become proficient, emotions will also rise. Emotions will be released. The more you trust your body, the more you will release the emotional tension. So it's a win-win. I've spoken for too long. I am really sorry. Goodbye for now. Please give me a like. I cannot do this by myself. I need you guys to be proactive. I give you information freely with the best will in the world. I hope you make good use of it. Help other people to find it. Give me a like. Subscribe. Take care. Bye-bye.